Today, we're diving into a popular post from the Reddit titled as TIFU by showing my coworker my Tinder profile and it might have messed with my job. This post received 2058 upvotes. Posted by Working New 9670. The post reads as follows. Obligatory. This didn't happen today. 2 days ago I was bullshitting with my coworkers in the office and one of them asked to see my Tinder profile. He was looking at my bio and all my pictures, then he exited out and saw my matches. Well, he saw I was matched with a guy. For context, I am a bi male, but it's not something I ever bring up just because I don't think it's anyone's business who I fuck. I'm not ashamed of my sexuality, but I try to keep that part of my life separate from work, considering I work for a Christian value organization. Well, he then proceeded to yell out, "Ayo op, why are you matched with a guy?" I tried to say nah, you just misread that, and tried to play it down. He wasn't buying it. I just left the conversation and went home for the day afterwards. I kinda just assumed he would have forgotten about it or kept it to himself. Well, yesterday in front of some of my bosses he just straight up asks, "Op, are you a bisexual male?" And it kinda caught me off guard. He was trying to get a laugh out of everyone by telling them my personal business. IDK what to do because I'm mad and just sad someone would think it's okay to spout my personal business. People are gonna look at me different and it will affect my job. Thanks Tinder. TLDR, my coworker saw my Tinder and found out I'm bisexual. Now he's telling my coworkers of a Christian organization edit. For some more context, I have been more interested in women recently and haven't been nearly as into guys, so I kinda forgot I had a dude in my matches. I forget I'm bi sometimes. Another thing. My company isn't necessarily a Christian organization, but their values are. There are gay people within the company. I just don't need any reason for people to look at me or look at me differently. A comment from user Mountain Exam 8871 says, "The fact he said this in front of bosses and they did nothing is very bad. I would go to our. Also learn the lesson to keep things like Tinder to yourself." This comment received 2260 upvotes. A comment from user Distorted Noise says, "If it goes much further you'll be able to sue them for discrimination, so I wouldn't worry too much." This comment received 2884 upvotes. A comment from user Housewives Bro says, "Your coworker sounds like an asshole." This comment received 411 upvotes. A comment from user Solid 7 out of 10 memes says, "So him asking you that question is when you contact HR and say it made you feel uncomfortable alternative. Also general tip in life, when someone is saying something inappropriate in front of an audience you just make them constantly explain themselves because they will make a fool of themselves. Example. Sorry, can you repeat what you said? I missed the question. Can you explain what you mean by that? This came out of nowhere. Why are you asking that question?" If they bring up the Tinder thing, you can use conversational skills or just straight up lie and say something like, "Oh haha, I just swipe everyone right without looking," and then softly reapply the pressure onto them by saying something like, "Were you talking about me? Is there a project that needs my help?" This also shows the bosses socially that you're here to work and not chat about sexuality. The key is that if they drop the conversation, then just move on. Otherwise you become seen as hostile. But basically you want to let them dig themselves into a hole in front of others if you want the behavior to stop. This comment received 178 upvotes. A comment from user D1RTY0N3 says, "Go to our immediately about your boss and him harassing you. Record all conversations with the boss, the guy, and our." This comment received 179 upvotes. A comment from user low_philosophy_6874 says, "Tell him yes, imagine me your mom and dad going at it." This comment received 71 upvotes. A comment from user task_defiant says, "Response to, op, are you bi? I'll be happy to book a meeting with yourself and an HR to review any sexual harassment policies you may be confused about. Mr. Boss. Person, I'll be sure to include you in case you have any questions." This comment received 50 upvotes. A comment from user Kaminganblady says, "Good lesson for all young workers. Be careful about sharing personal information at work. Your private life belongs to you. At work, you're just a worker. People don't need to know who you are as a human being. There is a culture in the workplace that work should be like family, and workers should be free to be who they really are. Resist the culture that encourages you to wear your identity on your sleeve. Who you really are is sacred. Treat it that way. Don't share anything you wouldn't want spread all around the office. This comment received 13 upvotes. A comment from user BadgerTitties says, I'm bi and recently I had mates over and one of them said, is that your butt plug in the bathroom? I looked at him deadass in the eye and said, you're goddamn right, and he backed off. Show no fear. Feel no shame. Bi pride my dude. This comment received 15 upvotes. A comment from user dickbutt_MD says, why don't you reply, why? Do you have a problem with gay people? Make the conversation as public as he wants to make it. But just make sure it's a conversation about him, not you. This comment received 12 upvotes. A comment from user no_discussion4617 says, that's discrimination. Also your coworker sounds like an insensitive a-hole. This comment received 11 upvotes. A comment from user Mydavilk says, did they really ask, are you bisexual male? Has this happened in different language than English? If they were English homophobes, they wouldn't add the male at the end probably. This comment received 10 upvotes. A comment from user Love to See the World says, you didn't foo. Your coworker is an AH. This comment received 20 upvotes. A comment from user Shutterbug927 says, thanks Tinder. We're not certain that Tinder's to blame, here. It would seem your choice to show your profile, knowing full well there's content within that may run afoul with the Christian values organization you work for. Whatever the ramifications, I'd suggest owning your action of sharing your bisexuality versus condemning the app for hosting content that you, yourself, are responsible for. Side note. I'm bi, and I'm still saying, your fault, here. This comment received 15 upvotes. A comment from user Tannhauser_Gates_ says, you need to realize that work colleagues are not your friends. Considering the organization you work for, they have every right to dismiss you and the Supreme Court has sided with them in many instances. Start looking for a new job and use restraint when interacting with work colleagues going forward. This comment received 15 upvotes. A comment from user Logri says, Step 1. Don't work for a Christian organization. This comment received 38 upvotes. A comment from user November Infinity says, your coworker is the kind of person you take out back to the alley and handle them for being such a douchebag. This comment received 53 upvotes. A comment from user Snoo Bunnies 7461 says, your coworker is harassing you and you need to tell him to stop it. If he continues, then you need to go to HR and let them know he's creating a hostile workplace by discussing your personal business that is 100% none of his business. Depending on the Christian organization, they may end up being offended by this and try push you to quitting. Don't make them fire you and then create a huge stink over this. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Your coworker, on the other hand, needs to read his Bible and see where he's gone wrong. This comment received 33 upvotes. A comment from user Bowman 1982 says, depending on the nature of the Christian value organization, you can absolutely be fired for this. Christian value organization isn't a legal category or something. It's either a business or it's not. But if the organization you are working for is sufficiently closely related to a church's religious mission, they are absolutely able to discriminate on issues like this. Like if you're IT support for the church headquarters or something, you might be in trouble and have no recourse. If you're working for a business that just does regular business things but it's headed up by a Christian weirdo who feels the need to bring their religion into like selling water heaters, then absolutely, document, report, and if you get fired, talk to an attorney. This comment received 12 upvotes.